everyone. Welcome back to Local Ag. Today is April 16th, and I'm your host, Dorothy McIntyre from the Bedford County Agricultural Advisory Board. 2026 has been designated as the International Year of the Woman Farmer, and in this podcast, we will be spotlighting Arden Jones with Great Day Gardens. Welcome.
Thank you.
So this morning, I was wondering, we've known each other forever, I feel like. And I know some of the history, but I would love for the community to know the history of the farm and why you came to Bedford County to farm.
Sure. So this will be our 11th year, our 11th season growing. And I came here because my mother was raised in Forest in Bedford County, and she grew up on the farm where I'm now farming. And the land has been in my family for 2 generations now. And I always have loved the place, and I always kind of knew that I wanted to go back to it even before I knew I wanted to farm. So I did when I decided I wanted to start a vegetable farm. I moved back, and my family has been super supportive the whole time.
So it's been farmed before. I thought that it was just a big piece of land.
No, well, my family was not farming it actively. They had contracted other neighbors to grow corn and wheat and then hay for the last 20 years before I showed up. So they were operating it as a farm, but they weren't the ones.
They weren't active farmers.
Yeah, and they definitely weren't growing vegetables.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. So you go and say that you have the Beyond Organic philosophy. What does it mean, and how is it different from the organic labels in the grocery stores?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I get that a lot at market, people asking if my produce is organic. And it is a tricky question to answer because the way that I am growing things, I do abide by the organic standards. I use chemicals, you would say, that are natural, and they're all on the OMRI list, which is the list that organic growers abide by. So there's no synthetic anything on my farm. But organic as a practice has been designed to be used on an industrial scale a lot of the times. And so it's really not quite enough, I think, for to have a healthy ecosystem on your farm. We are able to do things because we're such a small scale that you can't do on 1,000 acres. And a lot of that, what we can do manually, by hand weeding, by using row cover, by being up close to your plants, helps eliminate the sprays that can even be toxic on an organic farm, and things like that. There's a quote, and I don't know who this quote is by, but it's one of my favorites, that the best fertilizer is the farmer's footsteps.
What a nice way of saying that.
Yeah.
I have not heard that one yet.
It's so true, too, because when you're on your farm and you're on the ground, you're not up high on a tractor in a cab with air conditioning. You're paying attention. You're taking care of your crops the way they need to be taken care of.
Don't you feel also that with the organic, it's not coming from a local area, so you have no way of actually speaking to the person that grew it, raised it, or packaged it, where you being either on your farm or at the farmer's market, that customer can come and talk to you and ask you questions that you can't ask an organic big box farm.
Definitely. Yeah. And we can explain to them the decision-making process behind the way that we're growing things. And there's also a lot of diversity on my farm, and every crop is cared for slightly differently. And that's, something that an industrial farm would never be able to do because they have a set machinery, operation and very expensive equipment that's designed to kind of just do one job.
What do you think the diversity does for the crops?
Well, it's having diversity helps break up insect and disease cycles because we're having, it's kind of like you think of like a patchwork quilt. There's lots of different areas growing different families of crops on the farm, and each family of crop has different needs and different nutrient uptake. And so we will rotate those around the farm, and it helps balance out the soil. So you're not just constantly growing one thing and attracting the pests that love that one thing over and over and over, and then having to deal with the consequences of having that monoculture. We have diversity in not only the crop families, but also the way the crops, the structure, the height, the amount of shade they cast, so we can interplant different crops right next to each other, and they can complement each other by helping either shade out weeds or attract beneficial insects that'll help pollinate the fruiting crops. And yeah, it's just also really makes a really fun farmers market display to have a lot of diversity.
It so does. Your display is always gorgeous.
Thank you.
It is always gorgeous. So, another part that is pretty interesting of your farm is that you're an all-female crew. Did that come about, or was that in your philosophy when you started?
It wasn't in my philosophy when I started, and I definitely haven't been, in the position where I'm like, I'm not going to hire men. It hasn't been a conscious decision. Over the past 11 years, I've only ever really had one guy working on the farm, and that was an intern for just like a month or two. But mostly it's been just the availability of qualified candidates has been female, and it's been a really great thing. It's fostered a really good work environment. Having an all-female crew, we kind of get into a groove and we all feel safe and comfortable and friendly and like family together. But also because we're a direct market farm, there's a lot of different types of tasks that go into what we do during the week. So it's not just the heavy labor of tending the crops, weeding, planting, and all of that work, and the physical labor of harvesting and running machinery. But there's also the whole marketing side of it. I have employees help out with social media, writing newsletters, being a friendly face at the market, helping keep the pack out in the washing area tidy and clean and organized, helping me stay organized. It's a huge job.
The hardest part, yeah. Keeping organized.
So people that have like a lot of different skills, and then also are like up to the challenge of learning things that they might not have been taught, how to run heavy equipment and power tools and machinery and all that. So I love empowering women. I love showing them how to use new tools and not making a big deal about it.
It just is. It's not that I'm here to show you to be more in tune with the agricultural equipment. It's just, you're here. I need you to run the tractor. Here's how you run the tractor.
Yeah, we need a person to do this. It doesn't matter who the person is. Anybody can do it. Anybody can learn how to do it. And, we have tools. Like I'm 5'4", and so like we have tools that are made for people who aren't tall and big, but they do the same jobs, that.
So you've adjusted some of the equipment to being for a female? Or...
Yeah, I've made decisions when purchasing equipment based on, like pruners, for example, like hand pruners. You can get them in different sizes for smaller hands. And my walk behind tractor, the brand I have is a Grillo, and one of the features of it is that the throttle, the hand grips are not as wide apart, and so it's just easier to maneuver.
Little things that you have to think of it in terms of having an all-female crew then.
Yeah. Having, a harness for the weed eater that is adjustable that will make it easier to hold and operate for a long period of time. We have a backpack sprayer that we use to spray our fish fertilizer. And I used to have like the largest size and it was just bulky and cumbersome. And so when I bought a new one, I just got a smaller size down and it was a lot more lightweight and just easier for me and everybody to use. So
How do you feel with the representation of being an all female at some of the farmers markets and in farming in the area in general?
what do you mean?
Do you feel that you're welcomed as a female farmer at the farmers markets, or do you feel like sometimes you get a pushback?
I definitely feel welcomed. I mean, farmers market customers are like the most friendly, awesome people. There can be some attitudes toward certain jobs I do that can be a little bit annoying to have to deal with over and over.
Yeah.
And all well intentioned, people not meaning to be sexist or rude or anything, but it can just be tiresome to be faced with the surprise of like, oh, you're a strong woman, or comments like that are like, yeah, well,
It's an I would think that there's a lot of education to the public of, yeah, I'm doing this. Why would you think I couldn't do this?
yeah. And I think it's just people not having seen it before, and a lot of that is happening now that I'm building my house, and people just don't. That doesn't translate for them. They haven't seen a woman building her own house very much in the past, so it's just a new surprising thing, and it tends to, there's a lot of conversation about that.
Yeah, education.
Yeah.
Let's call it education.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I know that on the farm you have the philosophy of farming with the seasons and living with in tune with the environment. How do you see that as beneficial as opposed to going to the grocery store and in February getting strawberries where we'll have strawberries in hopefully in a month and a half or 2 months?
Yeah, that's funny because I was thinking about this question and strawberries was like the thing that came up because they're about to be in season and it's so exciting to look forward to. And they're, yeah, it's eating seasonally it can be really limiting and inconvenient if you're used to following recipes, if you're used to wanting just the same thing eating the same thing all the time. It feels like it's impossible to eat seasonally, but the benefits of eating seasonally are that you're eating produce that is fresher, it tastes better, and it's probably better for you, more nutritious, and it's because that crop is wanting to grow at that time and it's going to be its healthiest. And, as a farmer, sometimes I feel pressure from customers who are asking for spinach in July and, disappointing them because you do have that interaction all the time of like people asking you for specific things at a specific time. And, part of us wants to, be able to provide that.
You probably didn't realize as a farmer, you're going to have to be an educator.
Yeah.
Because you have to explain tomatoes aren't going to be here in March. Tomato plants might be here in March, but tomatoes have a season.
And, I could bend over backwards. I could adjust my growing, so that I could have a hot house and spend tons of money and tons of fuel to like get those tomatoes in March. But it's against like what I want to do. And it, a lot of what I've grown into farming is part of like learning how to say no, but it's also more than that. It's kind of, it can be like a Zen thing. Like, what is my farm telling me it wants to do right now? And like, what is looking good? And one of the benefits of growing over 100 different crops is I don't have to make them all succeed. And every year, pretty much I have a different crop that doesn't do well. It's not like I've always grown great carrots. It's not like I've always grown great spinach. But this year I have great spinach, and I'm really excited about it because it's been, a couple of years since I've had that. And a lot of what I do every year is I try to learn from the year before. And, if a variety of spinach didn't work out, then I'll try a new one and adjust like that. But over time, you do just kind of go with the flow and plant enough that, you'll have enough in the end if some things fail.
So, you have an event coming up on the farm this next week, I believe, right? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, we're hosting a farm tour on Monday, and it's going to be on the farm from 3 to 6 p.m. The Roanoke Food Shed and VABF, I believe, are combining to...
That's Virginia Biological Farmers?
Yes, the Virginia Association for Biological Farming.
Okay.
So they host different farm tours throughout the year around Bedford County and Botetourt and, Franklin and Floyd. What county is Floyd in? Floyd County.
Floyd County, yeah. Floyd has a fair amount of farms down there.
Yeah. So it's kind of a larger region outside of Lynchburg that I haven't always associated with being, part of the Roanoke Food Shed, but it's really cool to network with those folks. And
that program is getting a lot of strength right now, I think, the Food Shed, which is kind of neat to see.
Yeah, and they've also provided other media outlets with videography and photography, and just trying to help producers connect with consumers, basically. And I'm also, just to put in a plug, I'm also part of the Blue Ridge Farmer Collective.
No, I haven't heard of that one yet.
Yeah,
Can you tell me about it?
Pretty new. It's out of Roanoke, and so there's, I think, 5 of us, different farmers, and also all female farmers, which
Are they
is
really?
pretty cool. Or, female and, a couple that's farming together. But we have it's like an online store, basically, and we cater to restaurants, wholesale. And this year we started a farm share program. So we have members that are on this platform and they can order weekly to pick up.
And is there a website to that, or is there just Facebook at this point?
Yes.
How do you do a contact to that?
Yeah, it's the Blue Ridge Farmer Collective, and they have a website. And you can still... I believe, they're still taking signups for the farm share program.
Oh, nice.
So the way that one works, rather than you pay at the beginning of the year and you get the Farmer's Choice CSA, which is what I do on my farm.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah, this one is you pay, I think it's $400 up front, and you can just use that as you like.
It's kind of like you have a credit and drop down lists, and you pick what you want and then pick it up at a certain time.
Yep. You could buy $4 worth of lettuce one week, or you could buy $30 worth of basil plants one week, or you could get nothing one week. And then, once your credit runs out, then you can renew it, and it's just rolling throughout the year. So, we're trying to grow that. And it started with the Blue Ridge flower farm. I might be getting these names mixed up.
That's okay.
It's hard to keep track, but there's a flower exchange also, and so that's what started first. And then Susanna from Thornfield Farm, she's been the one kind of heading this up, and then they did an offshoot of the flower farmers, and are doing produce.
Nice. So you touched on a little bit about the CSAs. That's one of the ways that you can purchase your products. How about the farmers markets? Which ones are you at?
We attend the Forest Farmers Market in Forest, which is awesome because it's less than 2 miles away from our farm. And it's a beautiful market. It's a huge market that you've grown in a really amazing way.
Thank you.
And we also attend the Lynchburg Community Market downtown in Lynchburg, and that is year-round. And we didn't go this past winter, but we will probably be there this coming winter. So
nice.
As well as throughout the season on Saturdays. And then this year, there's a new farmers market on Wednesdays in Lynchburg. on Rivermont Avenue called the Rivermont Farmers Market. And that's going to start the first week of May. And it'll be Wednesdays from 3 to 7. So we'll be there. We'll be distributing our CSA shares there and our orders, and then also have a stand set up. So it's exciting.
And they're producer only also.
I believe so. I think I don't know if they've defined it yet. They're still kind of
creating.
Yeah, in the creating stage. But it's a group of maybe 15 so far, and they are all our producers. I think I'm the only vegetable farmer so far. So
it's hard to find vegetable farmers in the Bedford County area.
Yeah.
I'm finding that, and when I find one, I don't want to let go because it's difficult. And I think it's a little bit challenging to grow in Bedford County. It seems like it's a little bit easier for animals than it is for produce.
Yeah, it's definitely the culture of farming here. There's a lot of cattle, and for whatever reason, I don't really know why, because we have really good soil.
Yeah.
It's prime Virginia farmland in a lot of ways, and I mean the soil texture that I have, it's in a really beautiful sandy loam, and all it needs is a lot of organic matter, in certain places. But I find, a lot of people who are trying to start, either a nonprofit farm looking for farmers or a farmer's market, there's just there's not enough farmers. Yes. And like young people going into farming and learning about it. And that's one thing that always helps me not feel like I need to be competitive, is we just need more. We need more producers, more farmers.
Well, I love that you're there too, that you can be a mentor to up and coming farmers too. And as you bring the interns in, they're able to see that this is a possibility.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's how I learned. I spent one full season at Radical Roots Farm up in the Harrisonburg area, and they taught me everything that I needed to get started. And I mean, what a valuable experience that is. And I do see that a lot with people who come to me, and they're like, one of the main reasons I want to work here is to learn so I can do this myself.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. So thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. We do have a few announcements. On April 25th, Huddleston, Hogg, and Highland will have an event from 12 to 5. These are all on April 25th. Burgers and Bluegrass will be at Chapel Creek from 11 to 2. And the opening day of Forest Farmers Market for the season is 8 a.m. to noon. A huge shout out and thanks to the Media Squatch for coming alongside us and to present local ag. Thank you so much for joining. I love talking with you.
Can I put in a plug too? We're having a plant sale on Mother's Day that we have every year. We've been doing it for a decade, and it'll be from 11 to 3 on Sunday, May 10th at Great Day Gardens, and we'll have lots of plants, and you can come and bring your mom, and we'll have other things for sale, like gifts. And
do you have food too? Are you still doing the pizzas? Or
no, we don't have any food vendors, but you're welcome to bring a picnic.
It would be a beautiful place. Thank you again.
Thank you. This is fun.